Hello. It's a little crooked, but you know what? It kind of goes along with the counter pretty good. All right. Without further ado, as promised, which you have no idea what this promise is because I just looked on Rumble and the video still hasn't uploaded yet. But I promised you guys I would teach you how to make vodka sauce. A really, really easy way that will not break the bank. I mean, unless you really want top shelf vodka. You really don't need to do that. As a matter of fact, I don't even have vodka. I have white wine. You heard me? White wine. Okay. You do not want to use rum. That will actually change your dish completely. If you do not have vodka, you can get away with gin. You can get away with wine. So this is what you would call a drunken sauce or a vodka sauce. So I have a half an onion here because the other half of the onion I did for the Reubens from the other night. I have about 6 medium cloves of garlic. This is a very oniony, garlicky kind of a taste. It's creamy, it's delicious, but I'm going to cut these a little smaller without wasting too much time. So what better friend than a food processor? I have yet to use this. Not to mention, use it with you guys. You don't need to like puree these. Now the only time I will puree onions, and hey, this could be a trick for you guys, for those who cannot stand onions. My brother likes the taste of onions. He can't stand the texture. He does not want to bite into them, and he actually gets super mad when he does. So what I do is I'll puree them. Now it's harder to fry because it'll burn easier. But if you're just throwing it in a stew and you have somebody that really opposes onion, you could do that and still get your onion flavor. Just be careful when cooking it. But what I'm doing here is just cutting these into fine pieces in a fraction of the time. Like, look at how slow. Well, you know what it is? I have to be slow and easy. Otherwise, every time I try to do something fast, I'm like a fireworks show. Like, I'm just a walking firework, just mess everywhere. So I just learned to take it easy. All right, take it easy. All right, now I know this thing is picky. Maybe it doesn't go on here. Oh, okay, so this one's easier than my first one. All right, I looked into this a little too deeply. All right, so we're gonna chop it. Don't puree it. And look at that, done already. Okay. Nice small pieces. Nice small pieces. Before I was so rudely interrupted by my bird. What do you want? What do you want? Oh, it smells so good. Okay, so let's get this water going. Do 2 bags of gnocchi. I filled this up about halfway. I know they say, oh, put 4 quarts of water in it. You don't have to. I'd never listen to it, and my food comes out great. So you save on water. Let's do this. This is a huge burner, so you don't need high heat. Bada bing! A little bit of salt, which I should have. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use some of my black truffle salt. If you don't have black truffle salt, don't worry about it. I'm going to try it because I want to. This black truffle salt is so good. Now, there's not as much sodium in this black truffle salt, but that's okay. It's Italian salt, that's why. It's not made in America, which sounds so stupid. It's Italian salt, so it's not made in America. No, what I'm saying is, what I mean by that is, a lot of stuff, unfortunately, that is made in the USA has a lot of salt, like sodium, like a lot of stuff that's just not good for you. But Europe, for the most part, has a lot of the bad stuff banned. So if you get salt there, it's not as salty. We will use a little butter. Did I use it already? All right. I thought I had another stick left. Oh well. All right. So the butter that I had when I first moved in is officially gone. this. I'm gonna start off with a tablespoon, all right? As a matter of fact, we'll start with the onion. I'm gonna bring you a little bit closer to me. This is such a sucky angle. Okay, well, let's work with what we have. So let us begin. Poop. I don't have the lid for this, but I'm sure everybody's done that. A little bit of butter, olive oil. We're going to set, actually, you know what? I don't think you really need, I do a little bit. All right, do a little bit of olive oil. So here's what you're gonna need for this. A 1/3 cup of some form of alcohol. White wine, sherry, vodka. Gin is like your last resort. If that's all you have in the house, you can get away with it. Everything else, I would not do rum. I wouldn't do any kind of mix unless you want your food to taste weird. I would just try to keep it simple. You know, white wine, vodka. Vodka would be your best because hence, you know, vodka sauce. You want tomato paste? All right. I have organic tomato paste. It's the only one I could find. It's fine. A half an onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and cream. A touch of olive oil and a touch of butter. That's about it, right? Super easy stuff you may actually already have in your house that you could just kind of potluck it in such a beautiful way. All right, let's do this. Here we go. Okay. All right, I'll keep you right here so you can see everything I'm doing. So let's pop that heat on. We're gonna put it on medium to medium. Yeah, just medium. Just right in the middle. Right in the middle. Okay? That was not the 666, by the way. That's like the Italian plus drill instructor. I end up doing this. So that's all that is. If I have to explain it, that means I'm not part of it, to be fair. Okay. Oh, salt and pepper. I'm so sorry. I know, you're always right where I need to go. Well, I can't find my small pepper, so I'll just use my refill pepper. And I'm gonna go with this right here. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Right now, there's no big deal. All right, we can go ahead and take this out. Be very, very careful, as my grandmother would say. And I'm going to do some story time. So I had a little bit of a scare when I got home today. I hear all this movement on my ceiling. Now I understand there's an oak tree outside, okay, given. So what do oak trees have? Acorns. Do acorns make noise? Yes, I didn't know they make this much noise. It sounded like there was something either stuck in my attic or like an animal was just having a fight on my roof. It almost sounded like my neighbors released something from my old apartment, which that's a story for maybe today. So I go outside to inspect it, and then I hear this loud noise kind of like this. Oh, that didn't make a noise. You know how the sound like of when you hit a grill or like a metal crate? It has that echo to it, that. So I'm hearing that, and I'm like, oh shoot, there's something in my stove. Nope. What I didn't realize was the AC unit is right behind this wall here. And I was hearing the acorns simply hitting the AC unit. See how it's nice and fine chopped? Now, I pre-chopped and thinking I could do it. I couldn't. Alright. So for this particular dish, you're not going to use regular frying oil. You want to use a good olive oil. And I always go to this one. You don't want it to burn. Let's get that garlic in there. There you go. Garlic burns a lot faster than onion. That's why I put the garlic in afterwards. Garlic in afterwards. Alright, it smells so good already. I'm going to let this go a little bit, turn the heat up a smidge, and then pour in the wine and see if it lights on fire. That's what actually makes it good. If you have a little bit of, if you have the vodka, of course, that's going to light up. So, all right. Let me get my lighter real quick. Keep forgetting. All right, I'm going to get you nice and close so you can see when I... Now, if you're uncomfortable with this, you do not have to do this at all. So what you're going to do, put the wine in it, and it's not lighting. Okay. Oh, it did a little bit. And what you're going to see here is kind of like a slightly blue flame. Yeah. Of course, it made me look silly. Oh, and let it cook off a little bit. It's like it is a third cup that I poured in there, okay? Do a good deal of pepper. A healthy pinch of salt. Maybe 2 healthy pinches. I'm using organic tomato paste, so it might not be as salty as regular tomatoes. So what you do from this point is you're just going to squirt in a good healthy, maybe quarter to, about a quarter cup worth. Yeah. It doesn't have to be exact. You just want to kind of mix it in there. And it smells amazing, okay? And this is, okay, I did turn this heat on. And this is something you can have done in about a half an hour, and it tastes like something you had catered to your house with a good Italian restaurant. All right, so it doesn't appear that I need more. So you want a nice, healthy, reddish to a sort of pinkish coating on all of your onions and garlic. You kind of want all the alcohol to burn out of it. So it's almost dry again. Now what you're gonna do, you're gonna put on the cream. You're gonna start with about half of this. All right? And there you have it, folks. Vodka sauce. This is forgiving. If you feel like this is too light, you know what you do? Well, you want to start good first. So this actually has that nice orangey kind of a tint to it, but you can put a little more in. It's all whatever your taste is and how you want to present it. The world is your oyster when it comes to this dish. Actually, when it comes to a lot of the dishes I share here. The only one that I would be more exact with is when I make my chicken coco vod. That is a time-consuming, very involved dish. It is, I would call that probably more of an advanced stage in cooking. But it's not, if I could do it, anyone could do it. So, all right, so we're gonna turn this way down, okay? So you don't wanna burn the milk now. Look at how beautiful that is. And you have yourself homemade vodka sauce. 10 minutes to prep, 5 minutes to cook it, and then you gotta wait on this stuff. The gnocchi I'm gonna make. Let's see, is this anywhere near boiling yet? All right. You know, maybe I'll switch sides so you can kind of get a nice close-up of this. Oh wow, it smells so good. All right, so this yields about, between the onion, it's a half an onion, 6 cloves of garlic, about a quarter to a third cup of tomato paste, a third cup of wine, which ends up burning up anyway, and a cup of cream. This yields about 2 cups, worth of sauce. All right, it's enough to coat 2 bags of a simple Andrea gnocchi. Now, one of these days I'm going to teach you how to make gnocchi, but I don't have rice flour, I don't have rice gum flour, and I don't have russet potatoes. So, russet potatoes, I know. Sometimes I talk silly. Russet potatoes. But 2 simple bags of this should be fine. You don't want to, I mean, unless you want to drown your food in it, then you make a little bit more. So simply, all you have to do is add a little bit more tomato paste and a little bit more cream. And I could actually show you right now that it can indeed be done. A little bit more cream, a little bit more. So if you do want it a little bit, because this is quite thick, I like my sauce thick. If you want a little bit more loose, add a little bit more cream to it. Then you can add a little bit more tomato paste. Just cook it for at least about 5 minutes to allow any kind of acid that might be in the tomato paste to kind of cook off. Then you yield a little bit more sauce. So you got like another 1/4 cup worth. And it makes a big difference if you're going over just another, pound or so of pasta. Not a pound, but you know what I mean. And you do want this to kind of simmer a little bit. I should put a lid on it so it doesn't burn off too much. But you just kind of make sure that tomato paste is mixed in real well. And there you have it. Just gonna, now you see, doesn't run. It's perfect. As a matter of fact, I really like it with the white wine. A lot. It's got a nice flavor to it. It just needs to cook off a little bit. So what I'm going to do with this is put a lid on it while I'm finishing up this macaroni here. And yucky. There we go. I know, but it'll keep it from evaporating too much. Wow, that's probably my best batch yet. It's so good. You can make your own tomato sauce. So take a jarred tomato sauce, and what you do is on the side, do your onions and garlic, vodka, and then cream. Make that little concoction and dump it in your tomato sauce. It's not as thick like this is. This is almost like a gravy than it is a sauce. But that right there is amazing. Alright, so this is starting to boil. In the meantime, let's see. Okay, 3 to 4 quarts. Alright, 3 to 5 minutes. That's all you need. Little strainer. Alright. It's funny. So there's no noise now. It sounded like there was a war going on my ceiling. I went outside. Kid you not, I swore there were squirrels in my attic. That's how noisy it was. To the point where I was tapping my ceiling with my broom. Only to find out it was just acorns hitting the roof. And my neighbor said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna hear the acorns, they're gonna drive you nuts." I didn't think they were that loud. I'm like, how does a little acorn go through 2 layers of insulation, wood, roofing material? Like, how is it so loud? And you're like, oh, it's loud. Well, it's been a long time since I've lived on a ranch and or apartment. It unsettled me a little bit, and I've never lived under an oak tree before. So, the oak trees that we had in my old place were like out in the woods. Alright, so you wait until this boils. Alright, and then 3 to 5 minutes you cook it for. What I like to do, oh, you're looking right at me. Okay. What I like to do after this is, you're just watching me, not watching me cook. Add a little bit of butter. I know, it seems like it's overkill, but it keeps the pasta from sticking together without it rejecting the sauce. Some people like to put olive oil on it. I find that olive oil could kind of create an aquaphobic barrier between your sauce and your macaroni. So when you use butter instead, you can mix butter with milk, you can mix butter with water, you can't do that with oil. Oil and water don't mix. So your sauce is water-based. So when you put butter in it, the sauce can still coat it, you still get the flavor, and butter gives you a nice flavor on top of it. So that's that. A little bit of pepper. You don't need a lot of butter. I would do maybe 2 tablespoons. Yeah, 2 tablespoons exactly. 2 bags. It's like 1 tablespoon per bag. And it's the perfect meal. You can put chicken on the side. You could, do cutlets. You could make a nice salad. This is such an easy dish. And how long did I spend on this? Yeah, I took my time cutting the garlic and onion. It's probably what takes the longest, and then everything else just moves after that. It's perfect. Right. I forgot to time these. I think it was at 2 minutes. So, all right. So I got another 2 minutes to go. It's like 3 to 5. The cool thing about gnocchi is, like raviolis, they float when they're done. So 3 of them floated. I wait until the whole thing is, when it gets real cloudy. You know what I mean? All the clouds rise to the top. So right now you got 4 of them. Stir them a little bit more. And even when they're all floating, you can let it go another, I do about 10 seconds or so. So then they can start falling apart. The raviolis is notorious for that. They'll split right down the middle, and there goes your cheese. So I'm going to use my handy dandy strainer. These handles are going to be so hot. That's why actually I kind of like boiling in a pot like this, because you just, Alright, as you can see here, they're all starting to float now. Here we go. We're going to give it a little bit more time. And no, not the seasoning like I did the other day, but I tried some more leftover potatoes yesterday. They taste better the next day because the seasoning's got a chance to kind of release oils and get along and make friends, and you know what I mean? It's like Swedish meatballs. It tastes better the next day. Which, by the way, I will teach you. I forgot, you could do this. Check this out. I mean, this doesn't fit perfectly around, but it shouldn't spill. Yeah, there we go, see? Look at that. And I don't mind leaving a little bit extra water in there, only because, and it's easier to clean this out too. Only because, A, you don't want it to burn because the stove can be a little hot. Let's go ahead and pop that back on. 2 tablespoons. Hello. 2 tablespoons of butter. Let's pop that in there ASAP. All right. Sprinkle some pepper, enough to make it doity. Pinch of salt. And I don't know where my garlic and herb went. You can go ahead and stir this up a little bit. Just get the butter to melt. Then, go ahead and turn that off. I love Gotham steel. Well, at least the pots and pans, pots and pans. The bakeware, I was actually pretty disappointed in it. My brownies stuck to the bottom, and it was very hard to get them out. I'll go ahead and stir this up real good. Oh, it looks great. Now you can do this to a pound of, because look at that, it's 2 boxes, 2 bags now of gnocchi, and there's still plenty of sauce to go around. So take a look. Nope. There you go. So if you wanted to do a pound of penne instead of 2 bags of gnocchi, there's plenty there to go on a whole thing of penne, and you didn't even have to use a full thing of cream. I still got about a 1/4 cup left in there. Also, you don't need to use a full tube of tomato paste either. Just that, a little bit of butter, half an onion, a few cloves of garlic, and boom, you got yourself a delicious dish that you and your family can enjoy. And maybe even have leftovers for the next day, depending on what goes with your dinner. Again, I like to help you not break the bank. And that's one beautiful way to do it, especially when you have the Andrea's ravioli or tortellini, whatever you want. Sometimes you can get it on sale as low as $1 and change per bag. I mean, you figure, depending on how much your kids eat, you know, you can figure at least 2 kids per bag, right? At least. Unless they're 18-year-olds that play sports, then okay, I can see them eating 1. But, and there you have it. Not even a half a stick of butter. And that went towards everything. It went towards the onions. It went towards the onions and garlic. It went towards the macaroni. You don't have to do butter if you don't want to, but I do to keep them from sticking in case there's a thing or two that I have to do before putting this together. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. I do like putting parsley in a lot of my sauces because it's very good for you. It's a beautiful garnish. Right? I gotta have my Splash 2.0 lemonade, or I like my Splash 2.0 fruit punch. It's amazing. Did I mention that it makes you pee a lot? It's quite diuretic, but maybe that's why. Oh, I thought it was like flush. I feel like it does flush you out. So, cheers. I hope I didn't make that sound. I hope not. I hate the sound of my chewing and swallowing. So why don't we sit on this side, and then you can appreciate some of my family pictures. I'm slowly but surely putting my house together. Maybe one day I'll share with you the story of each one at some point or another. And I'm still getting used to where all my silverware is, apparently. Alright, now you can use a fork or spoon. Shovel it in your mouth, pick it in your mouth, whatever. Alright, I'm gonna scoot you back so you don't hear it. So sorry. Alright, so honest critique. And this is, I mean, I guess you could still call it vodka sauce, but it's technically a white wine sauce now. It's very good. I think it needs a little bit more salt. I mean, I did a little salt on that's why it's potato pasta. That makes so much sense because I was going light here, light there. It looks like I'm using a lot of salt, but I'm not. You have to realize I'm rinsing things, well, I'm flushing the water out where the salt is, and I'm just doing a little bit here and there, a little bit in the sauce, but again, these are organic tomatoes. Not to say that non-organic doesn't have salt. Plus, I'm using black truffle salt, which has less sodium in it. Not to say that it actually does taste less salty too. But let's go ahead, add a little salt and then see. Right? So fine. It's like desert sand without it being desert sand. Alright, so let's try it. Perfect. Just a little salt. There you have it. Real simple. Sorry, I hope I didn't make a lot of noise with that. If I did, I'll just throw it away. Or, yeah, screw you, glass. No, cut the video. See, I don't know why I have that. Like, I make weird noises when I swallow. Sorry. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm making the stupid noises like on purpose. Alright. So you don't have to go out of your way to make an extravagant, extraordinary dish for your family or even for yourself. You just need, what is it, 5 or 6 basic ingredients that you may have in your house already that you can turn what could be mediocre dishes into something exceptional. And if you had to go out and purchase all of this at the supermarket, at most, I think the tomato paste, if you're gonna get the organic one, maybe $6. Maybe. I think I might actually be aiming high even with the economy the way it is. The onion, you can get a yellow onion, you can get a bag of them, and all you need is a half to 1 yellow onion. That's pennies on the dollar per one. 6 cloves of garlic. You can get a bulb, relatively cheap. And then a carton of cream. 1 to 2 cups worth. And there you have it. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, garnish with parsley, and oh, okay, the most expensive part could be the vodka if you go out and buy it. But if you cannot afford vodka, even the cheap kind, you have some white wine in your house, put a 1/3 cup in it. It does make a difference, because if you don't put anything in it, the sauce kind of tastes like a creamy tomato sauce. It's okay, but you could tell the difference between putting vodka or wine in it or not, because it does contribute to flavor. I love biting into the softened garlic too, and it just explodes with flavor, and it just gets along so well. I rate this an A++. If I had to, if I were to invite everybody over for supper, and it was a toss-up between this and the gnocchi I made the other day. Gnocchi? I've been calling it gnocchi. The pierogi Reuben that I made the other day, which was delicious. I would make this. This is probably by far one of the better dishes I've made since starting this video, what's it called? Video journey with you. And it's amazing. I finally figured out how to read my comments, and I did get 3, I'm sorry. I got 2 comments on Rumble, and I have to say, it really touched my heart. Thank you. And there was one comment on YouTube from a man from Italy who was telling me about his recipe of the Alfredo. Really interesting. It's really cool learning from people. And I was actually thinking about just doing away with the video thing and maybe do something here or there just for fun. Just keep it with family or something. But, you know, this person said keep making videos. I enjoy it. So here I am. Thank you. It really meant a lot to me. I meant what I said when I responded to your comments. And I will do my best. Because who knows, you know, it starts with a couple comments, you respond, and then all of a sudden you get millions a day, and what do, you know? And I'm really bad at keeping up with myself. I kid you not. I still gotta wash my clothes. I still gotta take a shower. It's like, well, how long has that been? Since yesterday. But it's like, it's hard for me to, I mean, you could tell by my talking, my speaking, it's just, I can't just, okay, step 1, step 2. I envy people who could do that. I can't. Like, I don't know if you see my office video, papers here, and I go and I put something away over here, and oh wow, that box is driving me nuts. Let me move this box. And I'm like, I'm over here, and oh, let me just take this out of the office altogether. So then I'm leaving the office and I'm doing something out here, and I'm like, this is why it takes me forever. Now, when it comes to cleaning a bathroom, it's probably my easiest chore. It's probably why that's what I used to choose as a kid, because I would get through it so fast. You know, clean the mirror, clean the counters, clean the toilet, clean the bathtub, clean the floor, leave, done. You know, where out here everything's so subjective, and I'm very subjective minded. It's hard to just objectify things to the point where you can at least get through your day without worrying about what you forgot, worry about where you're going and where you've been, you know. I really hope you can hear me. Hold on, let me just stop it. Okay. You wanna know what happened right as I turned off the video? She let out the most brain-piercing whistle ever. Oh, right when I think she's been the loudest, she breaks her own record and gets even louder. She just manages. She's amazing. She's my baby though. Right? My little chickadilla. My little canepa. She's little. She's so cute. Anyways. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, sorry, we're going here, here, there, and everywhere. Okay, the nuts. The nuts on the ceiling. All right. So I go out, and upon further inspection, I hear these stupid things falling off my roof. Right? I'm like, man, this reminds me of when I lived at that apartment. And I'm like, you know, I told them that I was going to save that story for another day. Maybe today's the day. It was so extra today, and I've been through storms here. If you watch my previous videos, and I've never heard anything like it. And my neighbor just told me last week that he's like, "Oh, wait till the squirrels come out in the springtime, then you're gonna swear there's something in your attic." I'm like, nah, it's pretty loud. I don't think so. I'm like, how loud can a little critter be compared to these baby coconuts hitting the ceiling, right? So I'm hearing this. I see no squirrels, so now I'm scared. I'm like, okay, so maybe they are inside my attic. But I'm inspecting my entire house. Is there a hole? Is there a divot in the roof? Could they have gotten in one of the vents? But my vents have those like scrub daddy things that keeps them from going in. Look at that weird material. So I'm like, nope, can't be underneath because I'm hearing it over my head. So it can't be the basement or the crawl space. So then I hear the acorn boom, loud, and then hit the AC unit. And I'm like, oh, wow. I said, you know what? I would rather deal with acorns hitting my ceiling than a dog running at high speed in circles, a kid running in circles without their parents disciplining them. It's okay for a little bit, but when it goes into like 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, when your bedtime is 8 o'clock at night, it gets old quickly. Not to mention the mother was just as noisy. So I'm like, how do these people live? Now, when I lived at that apartment, for the most part, I was a minimalist. I could walk through that place in the dark with my eyes closed and not hit anything because I have my coffee table, my couches, my Parsons table, and that's it. I mean, sometimes the mail will get out of line, but there's not like boxes all over my house at random except when I was moving. But that's what I would hear. You know, I would hear, you know, walk, boom, 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 you know, boom, 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 boom. And it would be in the middle of the night. These people are like, they're night prowlers. I'm like, you know, this is ridiculous. So I remember it was every morning around 10 o'clock in the morning that I would be off from work at random, where there was a weekend, sometimes during the day. It's like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, I would hear fighting. And I swear the woman was getting her butt kicked by the guy. That's what it sounded like. You would hear boom and then screaming. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna get involved. You know, watch me be the one to call the police. Now they got a pin on me, and I have no idea what kind of people they are. I let it go. So my first time acting was when I heard screaming like through the floorboards. So they don't need to know whether I'm male, female, who the heck I am. They don't need to know. All they needed to hear was me hitting that wall as hard as I could. Silence. Weeks straight. Silence. I was like, okay, maybe I got my point across. Maybe they realized, oh crap, someone lives downstairs. Let me live like a normal human being. I forgot we're not in a house anymore. I don't know what their situation is, nor do I care. Just let me sleep at night. So one night, fast forward after they were noisy and everything like this, and I would hit the wall every once in a while in the middle of the night. So one night, she brings this guy home and knocks everything over on the way to her bedroom, and they start going at it at 2:30 in the morning. Not fighting, okay? They blast their music, and it's just boom, boom. So I slammed the wall. So then I was so mad, all right? I look like something out of The Grudge. My hair is just like in my face, and I'm like knocking on the door. I mean, I wouldn't answer the door if I was her either. But I said, you're either gonna come out here and talk to me, because I saw like the peephole. You know, when you're looking through the thing, like you can see it flicker a little bit, so you know someone's head's like looking through it. So I'm like, I know you're there. I said, step out right now and we talk about this, or I speak to management. Well, needless to say, she doesn't open the door and the noise continues. So it's 2:30 in the morning and I'm calling management, and I held it to the ceiling. I was like, do you hear this? And I was upset. I was like, I have work in 2.5 hours. So I held it to the ceiling. I said, this doesn't happen again. So sure enough, the manager calls me. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're gonna make sure it never happens again. Yeah, right. So she was quiet for about 3 weeks after that. Didn't hear a thing. I was like, oh, maybe he got his point across, right? Well, needless to say, the noise starts again. So I called, can you please tell these animals to keep their affairs within their walls? I said, otherwise I'm leaving. And this is what brought me to this amazing house, by the way. So in some weird way, I kind of had them to thank to grow a set of balls in this economy, to step out of my comfort zone and purchase my first house. Small, but it's my peace of mind. And I'll take acorns over bird seeds, chip bags, orange peels, broken Ziploc bags falling on my porch, my part of the yard. I'll take some acorns. Which, by the way, I went out and picked one up. Those things are heavy. I was like, oh man, if you chuck that at someone, that would hurt. It's like a slow moving, excuse me, I just hiccuped, a slow moving bullet. They were an interesting family, and this guy that moved in with them, he looked like an Antifa member. Mohawk, tattoos all over him, some weird eagle thing tattooed on his arm, always wears black, drives a creeper van. He just has that look, you know, lip piercings, ear piercing, you know. Not to say that there's no good guys who dress like that, but his attitude and his creepiness, you know, really fit the description. So one day, one evening, you know, again, boom, 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 boom. So I hit the wall. So this POS decides to stomp around the ceiling more. Gets out of his house, slams the door, and I thought he was coming after me. So I got ready in my own way. And then he runs outside and he looks in my window with his pit bull, which, by the way, dogs are not allowed in this complex, especially bully dogs like a pit bull. They're considered a bully dog, right? In a public setting. They have the potential to attack. I don't care how you feel about pit bulls, that's a fact. So good. So he's staring like a pregnant stare. So I made eye contact with him and I videotaped him, called the police. And then he goes back and he starts slamming the door. So I let management know what happened. I showed him the video. And I videotaped him stomping around because he did it for a while. And then the fact that he slammed the door going in and then going back. And I ended up vacating the house for a while just for my safety. It's like, I shouldn't have to vacate my own home because these assholes that live upstairs can't keep to themselves and they get pissed off when you say otherwise. So that's what brought me here. Long story, very short, because a lot more has happened. I guess I could share one other story. Has any of you guys seen, I forget the name of the documentary. I shared it on Gab. Here it is. Okay. With human sex trafficking rings and things like that, what happens? Excuse me. I swallowed very loud. So this documentary is explaining, like, how it happens, and and they'll have some examples of, like, not real ones. Like, there's no porn, thank God. But they show, like, celebrities, with the knife, and there's a kid laying there, and like a real kid. So there's this one video where this kid's screaming. You can't see anything. It's just a frosted glass with flashlights. And it's a blood-curdling scream. It's just the way the kid, the sound of trauma. It's like when you're gonna die, it's that scream. And I've only heard it in real life one time, not by a child, by a woman. And that made my hair stand up from head to toe. She got thrown out of a truck, the next house over as this guy speeds away. And I didn't know she got thrown out of a truck. I thought she was about to be stabbed or shot. I didn't even hear the truck. I heard that scream. When someone's in real trouble, you'll know it. Because the sound that comes out of them, it's blood curdling. It is very unsettling. It's like, act now, just get that adrenaline. So, in the video, you hear the kid screaming like this. And then you hear this other guy lecturing, "What's my name? What's my name? What's my name?" And this kid is like, you can't understand the words. And he finally says, "Daddy." I couldn't stop the video fast enough because I just heard the screaming, and I saw, like, the flashlight. I was scared that the door would open or they were gonna give a sample of, like, what happens. I didn't want to see that. I understand enough that it exists, and I know that it's a very bad thing. I don't have to see it. I don't have to watch it. Nobody should have to watch it. Because let me tell you something. Anybody has any sort of empathy in any way, you're never going to get those screams out of your head, okay? You have to be a straight up psychopath to be like, yeah, okay, I heard it, no big deal, and just move on. And now I understand why our military, why the suicide rate is so high. Because, not to say the combat veterans don't, they do. But some of these other guys that go in, that are special forces and things like that, the things that they see, the things that they hear, it's beyond human imagination. And you'll never live it down inside your head. So I never heard a scream like this before. I'm at my apartment, and it sounded like that video. I'm watching cartoons, no less, so I'm sitting there reminiscing with myself. I was watching Tailspin because that was my favorite show, and I wanted to see if I remembered. And I did remember some of the episodes, and now seeing it from an adult perspective, oh, that's what they meant by money. Oh, that's what they mean by paying this off. Oh, that's why he wanted to pay for the sea duck or whatever. It makes so much more sense when you're an adult. So anyways, I hear the scream. I'm like, that's not the TV. So I pause the TV. Now I'm hearing it louder. It was so loud, I thought it was outside my hallway. And it was just that blood-curdling scream. So I immediately called the police, and I was afraid to leave, like go out my door, and I was afraid to go through the peephole, because just like I saw the peephole up there, you could tell when someone's looking through it. So the police go, where are you hearing, where do you live, where are you hearing it? I couldn't even say my home address. I was so shaken up. I was like, I live in blah, blah. I just said the name of my complex, and he goes, what's your address? And I'm like, oh, and I was like, number, da 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 da. He goes, okay. And I'm like, you know what town I live in, so I don't have to explain any further. Just be here. Do you know where you're hearing it from? And I said, it's got to be the place across from me. It sounds like they're right in my hallway. So within minutes, they show up, and immediately they knock on my door. So I have hair dye in my hair, right? Because I'm watching TV. I had this sitting for 40 minutes, so I look ridiculous. So my hair, I wasn't dyeing it blue. It was, it's like dark brown hair dye with a toner, and it kind of helped with the grays. So I look weird. So they knock on my door, and I'm like, hello? Like a kooky person. He's like, oh, here we go. So he goes, where did you hear the noise? And the neighbor across the hall, because actually, I'm sorry, he knocked on their door first. The neighbor across the hall goes, I thought it was coming from your apartment. She goes, but when I peeked my head out, she goes, it was coming from upstairs. I said, yeah, but if they're screaming, I remember hearing screaming once before from the woman, but it sounds like it's over my head. It doesn't sound like it's outside. So the police officer goes, okay, well, I'm not going to waste time here. I'm going to go up and inspect. Sure enough, he was up there for 45 minutes, an hour, and then he eventually left. You can hear when someone's leaving. The stairs were loud. So then I made friends with my new neighbor, and she goes, no, we don't even have kids here. And she's like, I heard the scream too. And I said, did you call the cops? She goes, no, I'm scared. And I said, I didn't know if somebody was in trouble either in your apartment or the one like next to yours across the hall. But I said, I can't stand to hear something like that and not do anything about it. So she like smiled at me and gave me a thumbs up. You hear what I'm saying? That can't be an acorn, right? That's what my neighbors used to sound like. Oh my goodness, that was loud. It can't be, right? I mean, I heard one when I was outside. It was very loud, but that's the loudest I've ever heard anything. You would think that there is something in the ceiling. I told them I can't bear to hear somebody screaming. I said, next time you hear something like that and I'm not around, it's okay if I call the police, but do it as well. Don't be afraid. And she goes, okay. So I tell her, I said, next time you hear something like that, I said, definitely call the police. I said, even if I call them, it's a good thing, because that solidifies the cause for them to come here. I said, if we're calling about the same thing, two separate addresses, they're going to understand that, okay, this is real. She goes, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And she's like, you can call the police for that? I said, absolutely. And I said, if you ever, get harassed by somebody or, don't be scared to call the police. They're there to help you. But yeah, that was when I heard a scream, like I saw in that video. Now my hair stood up just hearing that from the video, even without seeing anything. Your maternal instincts kick in where, oh my God, help my baby. And that I panicked, didn't know what to do, but I was, screaming and, calling the police, like, oh my God, you gotta get here quick. There's a kid screaming, I just freaked out. Because it took me back to that video. I never want to hear that sound again. I hear this kid screaming bloody murder. Now, it could be simple that he was autistic and had a meltdown. That's possible. They could do these blood curdling screams depending on the child. But it's better safe than sorry to call someone. Because what if that kid is being abused and you're just sitting there like, oh, I don't want to hear it. And you're just going like this, oh, I can't stand the sound of their screams. You're not solving anything. You're barely even virtue signaling. I can't stand the sound of their screaming. Call the police. Help the kid. I forgot to do an outro, so love you guys. Stay vigilant and don't be afraid to call authorities if you hear abuse. And I hope you enjoy your meal if you tried it. Take care. Bye-bye.